I was thinking about the N word, and I've never liked the N word, and I don't use the N word, and I always say N word because I'm just not comfortable with it. I've never used it, and my family and friends don't use it, but other people use it, and it doesn't really bother me as much. But there's this whole issue of if it's used so pervasively and commonly, like in music and things like that, why can't everyone say the word? And I was like, and I was thinking about, yeah, why is that? So I'm reading this book called Healing the Witch Wound. I believe her last name is Larson. So in the book, she talks about the history of witches, how like basically the Salem witch hunt was a extension of a witch hunt in Europe, which started in Germany. I was like, Germany, come on now. And so she was talking about these groups that were already kind of oppressed. One of them, the Jews. And I'm like, really? Germany? Really? That far back to the Middle Ages. And they had to, in Germany, the Jews had to wear a cap on their head to identify themselves as Jews because they're white. And so it's like, how do you know someone's Jewish? Which when I was a kid and I went to Lutheran school, I never understood the whole thing with religion because being Black, that's all I understood. But when I saw white people arguing, like whether it's like the Catholics and the Protestants or people who are against you, I'm like, you're all white. Why are you fighting? Like it didn't make sense to me when I was a kid. But anyway, I was like, is that a yarmulke? Or she's talking about a yarmulke? Or is that how yarmulke started? And so I had looked a little bit on the internet, and I think it started like in the Middle Ages, and it was only at certain times. And I was like, is that the same thing? Because my thought was, is that why yarmulkes became more, I don't know if the word is popular, but they saw this surge of people wearing yarmulkes after, I believe, after World War II. Please, if someone is an expert and knows what they're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong. And so I was like, is it people like saying, I'm a proud Jew? And so I wear this, like I identify myself as a proud Jew. So that, going back to the N word, is that just Black? Because the whole thing of taking it back, I don't think I necessarily agree with that. Because if someone uses the N word all the time, someone Black, and someone of another race calls them the N word, especially with the hard R, you didn't take anything back. You're going to be pissed. You're going to be insulted. So I'm like, is it self-degradation, or is it people kind of like, I'm a proud Black person? Even though everybody, like, I don't use the word. There are Jews who don't wear yarmulkes, and some do. But only Jewish people wear yarmulkes. I was like, is that like the N word? So some people use it, some people don't, but only Black people can say it. So if that's the case, I was like, that's interesting. But I was just thinking, these are the things I think about.